I don't know about you, but I think it's finally time we review the Formula 1 2021 Monaco Grand Prix. And straight from the off, I think we can all agree it wasn't great. I'm annoyed. I'm so looking forward to this weekend. Qualifying was great. Even practice with Ferrari threatening for pole, taking pole. I thought the race would be an absolute banger. Sadly, and it really does pain me to say it, we were treated to just the exact opposite. 78 laps. Not a single on-track overtake, excluding lap 1, where Mick Schumacher went for a cheeky move down the inside of Nikita Mazepin at the Lowe's hairpin. And also, if you're really pushing it, Sebastian Vettel versus Pierre Gasly on the pit exit. But that was it. And it's so strange because when you look at the result, Max Verstappen, his first victory in Monaco, his first visit to the podium in Monaco. Carlos Sainz, Ferrari second, his first visit to the podium in Monaco. And Lando Norris in third, his first visit to the podium in Monaco. If you saw that result with Hamilton down in 7th, Sebastian Vettel 5th, driver of the day, Perez from 9th to 4th, if you'd have seen that from qualifying and saw the results, you would just assume we had been treated to one of the greatest Monaco Grand Prix for years. And yet the race itself was just the complete opposite. So, apologies for the delay in this review coming out. Lesson learned to not try and use new editing software during a race weekend. But before we jump in to our race rundown, let's take a quick look at your result from this weekend's race. As mentioned, Max Verstappen was victorious, Sainz in second and Lando Norris P3. A great podium to really spice things up in the championship, even if the race wasn't too fab itself. Perez 4th, driver of the day, Sebastian Vettel, his best race for ages in P5. Gasly fending off Lewis Hamilton, who claimed the fastest lap, but only 7 points means Verstappen takes the lead of the driver's standings. Stroll, a great overcut strategy, double points for Aston Martin, leaves them in 5th place in the Constructors. Ocon and Giovinazzi scoring Alfa Romeo's first point of the 2021 season round out your top 10. Raikkonen just missed out with a difficult weekend for Daniel Ricciardo in P12. Fernando Alonso tried something brave, likewise with Tsunoda in 16th, but didn't quite come to fruition. The two Williams, 14th and 15th for Russell and Latifi, in between the two of them. Mazepin beat Schumacher for the first time in his Formula 1 career, the final two cars to finish the Grand Prix. Bottas and Leclerc, unfortunately for them, were unable to do so. But one thing that is for sure is even though the race wasn't great, the result really is. And as we move into the race rundown, starting with Red Bull Racing, the fact that Mercedes are going to be our 6th team in this review, that tells you all you need to know about the championship consequences of this race. Because a first place for Max Verstappen, a comfortable victory. Smooth as you like at the front of the field, led every single lap except one, where Sergio Perez went a little bit longer with his strategy to overcut Gasly, overcut Hamilton, overcut Sebi Vettel for some fantastic strategy from Red Bull. They're leading the drivers and the constructors' standings for the first time since 2013. That is mega. That is a job well done for Red Bull. Because even though both of their drivers had fantastic races, I think what's really poignant is that their car appears to be quick everywhere. Verstappen has finished either second or first in every single race this season. And with Mercedes, yes, having their own issues with Valtteri Bottas that we'll get onto a little bit later on, but Hamilton really struggling this weekend. 7th in qualifying, wasn't able to really show his full potential, but nevertheless wasn't looking comfortable. Finishing the race in 7th, it does prove that though the Mercedes for the majority of the circuits this year are going to be the team to beat, tracks like Monaco that require that little bit more traction, little bit more downforce, could cause Mercedes a lot of troubles over the course of the full season. Thankfully for them, there's not too many circuits that require as much downforce as Monaco, but tracks like Singapore, Hungary, maybe Saudi Arabia because it's a street circuit, but there are plenty of long straights on that one. Not only do Mercedes run the risk of losing out to Red Bull, we also know Ferrari have a great chance of not even challenging for a podium, but challenging for the win. And for Carlos Sainz, a great weekend for him. Second place, his first podium for Ferrari, his best ever result in Formula 1, equaling that second place in Monza last season for McLaren. A faultless drive from his side of the garage. But Charles Leclerc, Ferrari, come on guys, not checking the car overnight. Guys, you're on pole position in Monaco. Charles Leclerc's home Grand Prix, Ferrari's first and probably only pole position this year, and yet they didn't check the car after Leclerc had crashed in qualifying. Baffles me. Completely baffles me. They know they've made a mistake. And to be fair to Binotto, he has been holding his hands up as team principal, openly admitting they should have checked the whole car. What they actually did was check the gearbox, said it was fine. Yeah, all good, we're great to go. They fixed the front of the car where the majority of the damage was, but they didn't check the whole car. And the resulting issue with the power unit they believed to be fine, ultimately it wasn't. Sadly for Leclerc, out of the race before we even got going, and though second place is an awesome result for Ferrari, on pure pace as well this weekend, I just wonder, at the end of the season, I don't really wonder, if at the end of the season they miss out to McLaren by a few points, they will really kick themselves for this weekend. But hey, they had the pace. That is a huge transformation from 6 months ago. But still, little mistakes. We've been saying this for years now. Little mistakes for Ferrari cost them so much. And sadly for them, that storyline on one side of the garage rang so true in the streets of Monaco. McLaren, how have they done it? On a weekend where Ferrari secured pole position, have got second place in the Grand Prix, McLaren, who were the fourth quickest car, have got a third place, another podium for Lando Norris, who continues his stellar start to the season, and that slight blip in Spain has proved straight away to be just a blip. His form on fire once again, that stunning Golf livery doing absolute bits for that team. But they've come away from this weekend just 3 points worse off from Ferrari, which I find crazy considering we were expecting Ferrari to be fighting for the victory, and McLaren were probably expecting to drop down to fourth in the constructors' standings. So for Nozza, another great drive. For Daniel Ricciardo, it's hard to judge because yes, he's been lapped by his teammate, which never looks good, but I think that's an outlier because we're in Monaco. And naturally, all of the drivers are about a 2-second gap between each other. It's only a 1 minute 12 lap anyway, so I'm not too concerned about that. But it's that pace in qualifying that really let Danny Rick down. Couple of tenths of making it through to Q3 has cost him dearly in this weekend's race. But I said it last time out in Spain, when he bounced back and did have a good result. But I'll say it again today. I'm not too concerned about the pace of Daniel Ricciardo at the moment. We know what this man can do. We know 2 years ago when he moved to Renault, initially things didn't go so well. He didn't score points in his first few races with that team, DNF'd in his first 2. So for McLaren, in his first 5, he has scored in 4 of those races, outqualified his teammate 3-2. Yes, Imola, a bit of a blip, but I think that shows he's roughly there in qualifying. And in the race, though Lando definitely has the edge, he's in the form of his life at the moment, driving impeccably so far this year. And Ricciardo, bless him, who's moving to a new team, who naturally you would expect Lando to have the edge at the start of the season, having been with the team for 2 years already. I don't think it's as bad as it's made out to be. And if this had been any other circuit, I would be confident Danny Ric would have been able to ease past some of those cars and back into the points, just like we saw in Portugal. But what I do think he does need, because there does need to be some criticism when you see the gap between him and Lando, I think it's just that bit of consistency. To find that groove with that McLaren car, which doesn't seem to be gelling just yet, but I am very much in the camp of give him some time. He had a great weekend in Spain, and next time out in Baku, a circuit he has won at before, a circuit which I think will suit that McLaren more than most other cars in the midfield. Yes, he needs a good result to try and boost his own confidence, but I think he'll be fine, and Danny Ric of old we will see pretty soon in that McLaren. Feel free to shout at me if in a few weekends' time it's not got any better, but I generally think Danny Ric, a man of his talents, at a team like McLaren, he will be just fine. Our next team in the race rundown is Aston Martin, who I think, except Red Bull, are the team of the weekend. 5th for Sebastian Vettel, 8th for Lance Stroll, both of them doing an overcut strategy, which we have seen in the past, does seem to work out a little bit better in Monaco in modern Formula 1. And Vettel's strategy today reminded me so much. Was it 2017? I believe it was. Raikkonen on pole, Vettel in second. Vettel went super long, overcut Raikkonen and won the race. This time out, though it wasn't quite for victory, overcutting the AlphaTauri of Gasly and also Lewis Hamilton, a great effort from Aston Martin, and Lance Stroll almost doing a carbon copy, overcutting both Alfa Romeos and Esteban Ocon. A great day in the office for the Aston Martin team, who have been really lacking that little bit of pace this year and didn't really have a great qualifying. But this team, this underdog team, something that they have always been so good at, is pulling out surprises, pulling out some great little strategies when they need to. And I think those remnants of Jordan, Force India, Racing Point were really on display this weekend. And for Seb, who's had a difficult start to the year, scoring his first point, scoring big with a 5th place, I think that'll do his confidence and the team's confidence a world of good. AlphaTauri. As you'll see for a lot of these teams, there's not a lot to say. Pierre Gasly started 6th, finished 6th, 8 points in the bag, a great points haul for him and the team. Lost out to Vettel, lost out to Perez on the overcut, but gained 2 positions through Bottas and Leclerc's DNF. A quiet day really, although the only bit of action saw Vettel and Gasly racing up the hill before we were rudely interrupted by Lance Stroll's replay. Gasly, who was my driver of the day on Saturday, doing exactly what he needs to do. And poor Yuki Tsunoda, bless him, out in Q1 in his first Monaco experience. And I mentioned it in qualifying, he was the only driver on the grid to have never ever been to Monaco. Not in F2, not in F3, had never ever been to Monaco. So it was always going to be a difficult ask for him. But like pretty much all of us at home, we were expecting at least one safety car, even a yellow flag. We did not, at Monaco, get a yellow flag. AlphaTauri, fair play for trying something with Tsunoda, making him go so long. I think 8 laps to go until he finally did his pit stop off the hards onto the softs, managed to whack in a fastest lap until Lewis Hamilton nicked it away from him with a few to go. So I really do feel for Yuki, but a weekend to forget from his side of the garage. AlphaTauri as a whole, though, still very much in the fight with Aston Martin and Alpine. Mercedes, then. I told you, 6th best team, 6th best result. 7 points for the team. Hamilton, 7th place. Started 7th, like Gasly, lost out to Perez and Vettel, gained 2 places through Bottas and Charles Leclerc, and it's safe to say Hamilton wasn't too happy, and I can't really say I blame him. Mercedes stopped him first out of everyone out on the track. An interesting call when Mercedes know how powerful the overcut can be here. They were stuck behind Pierre Gasly and there wasn't a great deal of space for Hamilton to fall into. But I think they were trying to give Bottas a gap to fall into. By stopping Hamilton, that meant Bottas had a gap. They brought Bottas in and blimey, couldn't this man not catch a break? His wheel nut, unable to come off the car, and actually, as of recording, it's still not off the car. Over 24 hours later, a nightmare for Valtteri, who up to that stage was driving a solid race. Still in the fight for victory with Max Verstappen, on a weekend where he was really outshining Hamilton. We've not seen this from a really long time for Valtteri. Would have done his confidence a world of good, yet it was stripped away from him once again. And even more frustratingly for Valtteri, finds himself behind Norris in the driver's standings, with Perez only a few points behind. It really has been a weekend to forget for the world champions. Expect them to be back in Baku. Definitely expect them to be back in Baku. But I really am baffled at how uncharacteristic this weekend was, not just through the pace of the car, but strategic mistakes, another pit stop error, work to do, the fight is on with Red Bull. Alpine, a quiet day. Ocon had to be racy, starting outside the top 10, has come away with 2 points. Not too bad. They knew this circuit wouldn't suit their car, practice wasn't looking great, Alonso out in Q1, and so scoring twice, it's okay. For Alfa Romeo, on the other hand, scoring that single point with Giovinazzi is just reward, I feel. They've had a great step forward this year, especially Antonio Giovinazzi, who's had no luck so far in Grand Prix, despite being on the fringes of scoring points. Finally for him, he didn't have a pit stop error, is definitely at the moment, I think, one of the most underrated drivers of the season so far. Don't want to go too crazy because there's definitely been better, but in those back 3 teams, I think Giovinazzi is doing a really strong job, especially on a Saturday. Fair play to him. Thoroughly deserved points for the team that scored 2 points in Imola. They got taken away after a really harsh penalty for Raikkonen. Very much deserved for Alfa Romeo. Kimi, bless him, 11th place, just missing out. Sadly, the nature of Monaco, so difficult to overtake. It also meant Williams, 14th and 15th. They were hoping maybe if there was a bit of carnage, they might be able to work their way forwards. Sadly for them, no such carnage. Sadly for us also, no such carnage. And finally, for Haas, Schumacher and Mazepin, both of them finishing the race. I think that was their main target. Likewise with Latifi actually for Williams, all of which were starting their first ever Monaco Grand Prix. Fair play for getting to the checkered flag. Fair play for no yellow flags. But again, another difficult weekend for the Haas team. Your driver standings before we go sees Max Verstappen lead the World Championship for the first time in his Formula 1 career, 4 points in front of Lewis Hamilton, who's comfortably in front of the rest of the field, with Norris moving back into third in front of Bottas, in front of Perez, who's closed down his Mercedes counterpart. The 2 Ferraris, Sainz and Leclerc, are 6th and 7th. Ricciardo is still in the top 10 in 8th. I told you, he's still got a lot of points despite his relatively poor start to the season. Gasly is 9th. Ocon rounds out your top 10. Sebastian Vettel scores his first points of the 2021 season, seeing him in 11th place. Lance Stroll, his teammate, just 1 point behind in P12. Fernando Alonso is in 13th, with Yuki Tsunoda on 2 points in 14th, and Antonio Giovinazzi, our final point scorer, in P15. Raikkonen leads the 2 Williams in 16th, 17th and 18th, with Schumacher and Mazepin rounding out your field. And in the Constructors, Red Bull take the lead for the first time since Abu Dhabi 2013. Verstappen and Perez 149, 1 point in front of Hamilton and Bottas's tally for Mercedes. McLaren lead Ferrari by 2, and then it's a sizable gap back to another ridiculously close battle. 1 point between Aston and AlphaTauri and Alpine. It's also 1 point between Alfa Romeo, Williams and Haas. Some ridiculously close battles in the constructors' standings. This, despite being a disappointing race, really has spiced up both championships really quite nicely. My driver of the day for this weekend's Monaco Grand Prix surely had to go to Sebastian Vettel. Qualifying, I gave it to Gasly, but my Racing Review's driver of the weekend is Antonio Giovinazzi. Q3 for the first time in 2021, scoring the team's first points for the first time in 2021. He's had a great start to the year. I've not given him any awards yet. Several times I've been very, very close, and I think it's just deserved driver of the weekend in Monaco for Giovinazzi. Race rating, we'll leave that there. Thank you all very much for watching. Thank you all for your patience. It's been a real nightmare sorting this one out, so hopefully you enjoyed. If you are new, you've really picked an episode to watch. Feel free to subscribe, hit the like button if you did enjoy. Thank you all very much for watching, and I hope to see you all in the next one.